In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips or things to consider with your website in 2025. So you're looking to build or redesign your website in 2025. These are the things that I think you really need to consider that I find a common thing that people don't and haven't historically. To give you a little bit of background with myself, my name's Chris Binley and I own a marketing agency and I have done since 2010 called Straight Up Digital. And these are the common areas that I find that people make mistakes or overlook when redesigning their website. So I think the first thing really is platform. Now, I have a long history of developing WordPress websites, and one of the main reasons why I did that historically was because they're very customizable. And now there's plenty of other options. Options that I see is Wix, Squarespace, and Shopify. Now, there are some others in there if you're looking to do courses, but they're probably the four core areas. So WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, and Shopify. Now, there's pros and cons for all of those, starting really with WordPress. The main thing I said with WordPress before is that it's highly customizable. Now, that's a great thing if you've got some development skills. It's a bad thing if you don't. And certainly from an ongoing perspective, if you're looking to administer your website on a day-to-day basis and you don't have tech skills, I probably wouldn't suggest WordPress. The second thing with WordPress is it needs to be hosted somewhere. And the least secure part about WordPress is its plugins. So when you're selecting your WordPress hosting solution, you really need to consider those plugins. And there's a variety of managed hosting solutions out there. Basically, you want your web hosting provider to be able to do your plugin updates for you and also do a visual test to make sure that those plugins are actually working correctly. There's a few of the bigger guys. WP Engine's probably the biggest. Now, from a WordPress perspective, fully customizable means that unless you pick a theme, you're going to actually need to design the website yourself. So there's probably a whole other episode on the design of a website, but we just put that to the side for a moment. If you don't have tech skills and you're not looking for e-commerce, I would suggest either Squarespace or Wix. And we'll talk in a moment just about some of the disadvantages from a user perspective. But realistically, between both platforms, there's not a lot of difference. The user platform is different for both, but they achieve around about the same outcome. There's templates you can use, you can design yourself. My personal favorite is probably Squarespace. So that's simply because I've had more experience with it than, say, Wix. Now, if you're going for e-commerce and you're going for a non-digital platform, I would highly recommend Shopify. Super robust. There are major advantages with Shopify. The apps that they use in Shopify are really designed to be supported by the app manufacturers. And that's probably another thing if you start to look at WordPress. WordPress is open source, which basically means there's no proprietary code as such, therefore licensing fees. And that means that it's not supported by a central body. So when you start adding plugins in, you start to potentially have a dispersed support model, and not all plugin manufacturers or coders actually support the plugins at the level that you would require them. The difference with Shopify is Shopify's apps need to be supported by the developers, and their customer service definitely keeps a very close eye on them. Now, some of the disadvantages with Shopify is that it's not as customizable. You can certainly custom code Shopify, but it sort of negates the reason why you would use it. Ideally with Shopify, you take something off the shelf, you make it your own, and then it's just more robust. In terms of user experience, probably where we move into the next stage. And for me, I would say user experience is more important than pretty. Again, if you're thinking about it from a design perspective, you really should be thinking about the user. my experience is that WordPress, for the most part, is actually slower unless you have a managed solution or you have a solution that's running on some form of content delivery network. I would suggest, if you look at the differences between them, that a WordPress website's probably 5 to 10 times slower. Now, load time, when I talk about slower, load time's super, super important. I saw a study many years ago from Amazon that said that for every 0.1 of a second slower that their website loaded, it cost them about 10% of their revenue. So, and of course, on top of, users have never been less patient. So they want it here, they want it now, they want it working. They're not waiting for pages to load. So Shopify does a very, very good job of ensuring that the page load time is quite fast when you compare them with some of the other platforms. But it's probably fair to say that most CMS solutions like Squarespace, Shopify, Wix, they're all very, very fast. So from a user perspective, super, super fast. Other part of the user experience is really, can they find everything that they require fairly easily without having to drag down, go to too many pages? I always follow the philosophy of, when they land on your homepage, can they access by either a button click, read of information, watch of a video, everything that they require without dragging down? The reason why that is because people don't want to drag. Most people hit that homepage. If it doesn't look what they're after, they might contact you. More likely than not, they will just bounce out of your website. So user experience is definitely important, and design from the perspective of the user rather than the search engines or how you just personally feel. It's important to A/B split test a specific page if you can. If there's an image and you want to try different types of images, testing them over a fair amount of traffic, super important. The next area after this is tracking. So I talked in a previous video about the importance of measuring your results. It's never been more important. Across all of those platforms, you can use Google Analytics, which is a Google tool, as opposed to the CMS platform's version. I've seen a fair bit of difference in the numbers between those, and I just like to trust a third party where possible, simply because it gives me more comparable results. So that's it really from me with regards to website secrets. Just like I said before, from the top, we want to make sure that we pick the right platform that will work for us and our users. We want to ensure that the design is user experience friendly and functional rather than just pretty. We want to ensure, if it's a WordPress website or a hosted website of some sort, that we have a robust platform for that. And we also want to make sure that we track our results. My next video, I'm going to be talking about Google Analytics secrets.